It's been a while, but I have another step-by-step build for you. In this video, I show you how to build the Underdark style dungeon tiles you are seeing right now. I got this idea from one of you, so if there are other things you want to see, please like this video and drop a note in the description below. After measuring out a 1-inch grid, I use a hot wire cutter to cut out the shapes of the tiles. I do a slightly jagged cut as I want it to have a cave-like appearance. For this build, I'm keeping it simple with 3 basic sizes: 4x4, 4x2, and 2x2. I have a bit of a story about the hot wire cutter I'm using. I purchased this hot wire cutter at Hobby Lobby. After a couple months of using, I fried the plug. Rather than purchasing a new hot wire cutter, I decided to buy an adjustable plug. Eventually, the thin wires that came with the hot wire cutter loosened to the point of uselessness. I read up on some message boards and decided to use some steel leader for fishing. Turns out that my setup works extremely well. So after a bit of a boost, I have a nice little setup with a cheap hot wire cutter. Step 2. Carving the grid. I use a walnut hollow Versa tool to carve out the grid. This Versa tool is a low price for what you get. I believe something like $25. Alternatively, you could use a soldering iron or a styrofoam embossing tool. Some of the squares I break up into smaller sections to resemble more of a rough looking floor or cobblestone. This tends to make it look more like a cave rather than a smooth tile floor. It isn't very realistic, but it still gets the job done, and I really like the way it looks. Step 3. Adding texture. I add texture to each wall with a piece of sanitized asphalt. I have also used a jagged rock and aluminum foil to get a similar texture in the past. All of these will give the terrain a stone-like texture that will be easily brought out in the later stages of the build. Step 4. Spray painting the base coat. For this build, I decided to try spray painting the base coat directly onto bare styrofoam. Normally, this will cause a chemical reaction that will melt the styrofoam, but I made a little discovery. I picked up some clearance cans of iron lac sugar spray paint and found that it doesn't melt the styrofoam. So I was able to get the awesome effect you see in these pictures. Also, I did a little research and discovered Liquitex spray paint can be used too. I will, in a later video, demonstrate this technique. Step 5. Dry brushing gray. You really could call the tiles good as they are, as they look pretty impressive just spray painted, but I chose to do a dry brush of medium gray over the tiles. I go a little lighter on the blue and the purple, as I want those colors to stand out and give a more mysterious or magical look to the tiles. While you're watching, please do me a huge favor and click the like button. This really helps my video analytics and will get this video more views. Also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel so you can see my future builds. Step 6. Light gray highlights. Next, I use a lighter gray and do a very light dry brush over all the tiles. Alternatively, it would probably look cool if you did a few extra colored highlights sporadically over the tiles. I will have to try that in a future build. Step 7. Black wash. I cover each piece in a black wash. This is not a necessary step. It just helps add more layers for protection and depth to the terrain. The black wash I use consists of several drops of Black India ink, water, gloss varnish, and a drop of dish soap. You don't have to use my recipe. You can literally use watered down black acrylic paint and get a similar result. There are also lots of other recipes out there on YouTube or the internet, so just look around and figure out what your preference is. When the tiles are dry, I finish them off by spraying them with light layers of matte varnish. I normally use the kind of varnish you paint on, but recently I've been wanting to save time and use spray varnish. If you do this, just be careful to hold the can at a distance and lightly spray each piece, building it up in layers rather than using a thick coat. I really appreciate you staying tuned to see how I make my Underdark style dungeon tiles. It had been a few weeks since my last video thanks to me dropping and breaking my phone. Luckily, I managed to get a new phone after some issues. Regardless, I'm doing my best to post quality videos. Let me know if there's anything you would like to see. This video was inspired by a comment from a user, and now I'm planning on creating some scenery and obstacles to be used with my Underdark dungeon tiles. Of course, I will be sharing that with you. If you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below, and also don't forget to like this video as it helps the video analytics. Thanks for staying tuned for this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.